Hey guys and gals, I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Welcome back to another video. Today I want to discuss having a good life-study balance during your time at university. This is a very important topic for upcoming university students and current university students in order to make their time during, the best years of their life more enjoyable. So, in this video, I'll be discussing two main items. Number one, I want to talk about why you should have a good life-study balance and how it helped me. And number two, I want to discuss how you can achieve this good life-study balance with some tips on what to do and what not to do and what helped me out during my time in university. So, let's get right into it. In the first segment of the video, I'll be explaining why you should have a good life-study balance in my own personal experience. In my first semester when I joined university, I really did not enjoy myself. I really didn't. And I found myself miserable all the time. I was not keeping up with my friends, with my families. My relationships were deteriorating. Everything was not going great. And the reason as to why this happened is because I focused more on the study. I've studied for 5, 6, 7 hours a day, and then I'd go on my phone and then go to bed. That is not great. That is not enjoyable. I'd wake up every day, dread going to university, dread studying, and then going back to bed again. So what I've noticed is, despite all this studying, I really wasn't happy with my grade. It was a good grade, I'll be honest. I got good grades, but I wasn't really happy at the way that I achieved it. So in the second semester, I tried to change things up. I tried to become more socially active. I tried to do other things that are, try to maintain my relationships with people, try to maintain friendships, going out with friends. And honestly, when I took the exams, when I took my scores, I had a look. They didn't take a hit, maybe a little bit, but I didn't notice any difference. So it doesn't really matter. What this means is that this balance sort of, gives you a break. So what I mean is, it won't take away from your studies, but at least it makes you feel happier. That means you'll be enjoying yourself much more. And that is really the most important thing about your experience in university. Yes, I want to learn whatever I decided to sign up for because it is my passion, but I don't want to feel miserable about it. I don't want to be studying all the time for the next 4, 5, 6 years of my life and then just, going on my job and moving on. This is supposed to be the most fun time of your life, so why not enjoy it a little bit? So I noticed a lack of burnout when I started implementing a good study life balance. So in my first semester during university, I noticed that I burned out. And the problem with burnout is that it is a cycle. It'll keep deteriorating and going down and down and down until you stop studying and you stop socializing with people, and it becomes crazy. And no one really wants to experience that. I changed things up in the second semester and I noticed that I didn't really burn out. I managed to stay consistent, keep up with my studies, and at the same time I had fun. So what I want you to take from this is that your university life is your life. You need to enjoy it as well. You shouldn't be torturing yourself. So, one more thing I want to point out is that studying all the time gets repetitive. Or maybe partying all the time gets repetitive. I don't know, you might be on the other end of the spectrum. It gets repetitive, it gets dull. You need to change things up. What I notice is when your schedule is very repetitive, you're doing the same thing over and over and over for, 3, 5, 6, 7 weeks. The problem with that is that you start getting bored very quickly. You don't have the patience. You get frustrated at a screen. Oh, I'm reading this lecture and I don't get it anymore. I don't know what's going on. Am I stupid? Am I not stupid? And so it gets very tense. So I've discussed why you should have a good life-study balance and how it helped me. Now, the question that comes to mind now is, well, how do we do it? How do we implement it? Well, I'll give you some tips on what helped me find this correct balance. Because, again, it's different for everyone. You don't have to follow what I'm doing, and I don't have to follow what you're doing. Now, you don't have to follow what I'm saying to the word, but you can take some tips and incorporate it into your life. So, one thing that helped me quite a bit is scheduling. Now, scheduling, meaning that I'll set a schedule for every single day, maybe a to-do list, or maybe an hourly schedule, whatever you feel comfortable with. So the thing about schedules is that they'll help you organize. And getting organized is very important. You know when to take breaks. On your schedule, you'll have different items, and then you can sort out those items. You can allocate your breaks during your day. Maybe you'll do something else, and we'll discuss what you can do during your breaks. Now, the second thing that really helped me, and this I think is more of a personal oriented thing, is doing something I'm comfortable with, something social. I am an extroverted person. That means I really enjoy talking to people. So when I go out and go to the university, go on campus, I would talk to my friends. I would talk to random people, and that really gets me going. That helps me relax. And that's what I usually do for breaks. For example, I'd be studying in the library for 2-3 hours, and then I get bored. I pick up my stuff and go walk around and just try. I pick up my stuff and then go around trying to meet some people, trying to talk to some people in order to change things up. I know a lot of people don't like to socialize with other people. They don't find it relaxing. Instead, they find it very taxing. So I wouldn't recommend this strategy for everyone. What I would recommend though is hanging out with your friends. That means setting each week a time where you can go eat dinner out with your friends or have a fun time. Now, I know especially during exams week, you can't really do that, but if you can incorporate it, please do so. You don't need to be studying every single hour of the day for the exam. That is not helpful. You're gonna lose concentration. So try to take a break, maybe hang out for 2-3 hours. It's not gonna make a difference, especially if you study beforehand. And that brings me to my next tip, is developing a good study habit. Now, the problem with bad study habits is that they'll take much more time during the day. That means you'll be studying more, you'll be putting more energy into studying, and then eventually you'll forget everything. So I recommend finding a good study habit that suits you. Now, there are plenty of study habits you can find on YouTube and you can find online. You don't have to follow each one to the word, but you can incorporate different elements. What I do is usually flashcard studying. That means I use an app called Anki. I'll make flashcards and then I'll study them, and they'll be shown to me in sort of a spaced repetition manner, and that's how I study most of the time. I study through flashcards. I find it efficient and not time consuming. Another tip that really helped me is participating in university activities. I know, it sounds crazy, but participating in fun events, for example, if your university hosts a hike, your student body, participate. Why not? Go on the hike. Club activities, join them. You'll do something. You have something to do. And this is a very important tip, and it is finding something you're passionate about. I know you're passionate about whatever subject you decided to pick for college, but I want you to find a side interest, something that keeps your mind off of the topic. For example, I study medicine in an MBBS program. I don't want to think about medicine all the time. I don't think that's very healthy. So my hobbies don't usually involve medicine. My hobbies, for example, include playing the piano, reading books, although I don't recommend reading books to take a break from studying, because you're just going from reading to reading, unless you find that relaxing. Talking. I like speaking. I like public speaking, so I would go talk to a crowd. So these interests and side interests that keep your mind off of whatever you're studying are really helpful. They help you relax. Your mental health is very important. You need to take care of it. It is not something that you should be neglecting. And speaking of neglecting, there was one last thing I want to talk about, and it is sleep. Sleep is important. Being fatigued all the time, being sleepy all the time is miserable. I've done it for the first semester, the second semester, I've done it the whole time. I still do it. But it is not a great habit. It is not great. I know sometimes we need to do it, or most of the times it is necessary. Try to make up for it. What I mean is, for example, I would be studying 5 days of the week. I'd be studying and sleeping for about 5 or 6 hours each day. When it's the weekend, I would sleep like 12 hours, and then it'll cover for all the sleep that I missed. Now, obviously, this is not a very healthy practice. I don't recommend doing it. Please try to set a time for your sleeping, but this is how I function, and I find it enjoyable. I don't feel miserable anymore. During the beginning of my university life, I didn't really do that. I used to pull all-nighters. I used to sleep 2-3 hours a day, and that wasn't really great. It felt bad. You'd go to the lecture hall, you don't understand anything, you have to start all over again when you're studying. after taking a long nap, and then you'd just be wasting your time. Why waste your time? Sleep well. If you sleep well, you'll be wasting less time. Thank you so much for watching. By the way, my mom told me not to take advice from strangers on the internet, so I'm giving advice instead.